Hey guys, welcome back to the second episode of Stellaris. This is Michael with Gaming for Immersion, together with Immersioneer. I'll go ahead and give you a chance to say hi to everybody.
Yep, hey guys.
Okay, so as I said, second episode, you'll notice that we're back on the game lobby screen. That's because we ran into a minor glitch at the end of the last episode, which is that we found out the hard way. The game does not automatically save on its own. We had to do a manual save. So we're actually going to be doing exactly the same thing, the same Empire setup that we did in the previous episode, but it's going to generate a new galaxy for us, so we're actually going to be starting out in a slightly different location from what it looked like at the end of the last episode. No real harm done. We didn't ever unpause it, and so it's just going to be a matter of refamiliarizing ourselves with where our location is, but I think pretty much everything else is going to look pretty much exactly the same. And I think I'll go ahead and pass it over to you, see if you have anything to add.
Yeah, no, that's all. Yeah, we'll just let's just go ahead and restart and get back into it. We've gone over our empire in episode 1. We've gone over the galaxy setup in episode 1. Some general kind of economy, the basics of the Stellaris economy went over in episode 1, and that's all still relevant. So everything is the same. I'm going to go ahead and just start while I talk. So the only difference will be that we're going to spawn in a slightly different place in the galaxy, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But minor nuisance, guys. It's really my fault. I forgot to save. I normally play Iron Man single player, so the game just kind of saves itself.
Well, and as I mentioned earlier, it was a good time to learn that lesson because really no harm done because we hadn't actually started. And I would encourage anybody who missed that first episode to check it out because there's a lot of really good information in that first episode, certainly for someone like me who's brand new to this game. And I should probably point that out, that this is my first ever campaign playthrough, whatever you call it, for Stellaris, and very much looking forward to getting deeper into this game.
Yep, and I guess I've played, guys, for a while. By no means an expert, but I do think I have a solid grasp of pretty much all the mechanics. Maybe some things that have been reworked recently are a little bit new to me, but I have played around with them. And so this is a kind of interactive Let's Learn, since Paradox Games for a while now have allowed the cooperative play, but I've never actually seen anyone do it. But we are controlling the same empire. I guess I'm the host, right? And you're going to join, but I'm pretty sure you can do anything. We'll see how it works exactly in practice. But the idea is that, we just play through a game, and Michael, as a completely new player, as hopefully many people watching this, will ask all sorts of questions that, on average, probably everyone would ask.
That's my hope. I hope that I ask somewhat intelligent questions, and I actually have a hopefully somewhat intelligent question already. Obviously, we're starting out now much closer to the center of the galaxy than we were in the last one, and I can see I'm going to reuse the cardinal directions. So what looks like north of us, there is a system called Yultup, and then to the east there's one called Caesar, and then one to the south there's one called Orthama, and somehow we have visibility to those.
Yep. So the reason we have visibility to those is you see that little citadel icon on them, right?
Yes. Okay.
It means that there is there is.
Covenant
Empire,
of the Shroud. Okay.
There's different factions. For example, Covenant of the Shroud is a sort of like one station in the system. They don't actually own the system, so you can claim the system, and they will have it in there. And as long as you have good relations, they will give you all sorts of boons. You can destroy them too, but you can see there's 3 of these sort of enclaves, which is basically like a little mini faction, even I would say, because there are bigger factions that owns like one starbase. And there are others. There are sort of scientists. There are salvagers, kind of like these people who just kind of got left behind in this galaxy from when other empires rose and fell. And that's why, because from our origin, we have sort of guaranteed contact with these guys because they've been guiding our civilization as they, from sort of pre-industrial, so Bronze Age, right, on our planet. They've been guiding us, and they've guided us to, faster than light travel now. So we've been in contact with them, so they kind of revealed themselves to us.
Okay,
that's why we see those 3 systems.
Yeah, that makes sense. And another question in terms of visibility on the galaxy map, we have a red circle around Savazia here. It's not exactly a circle, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's a red outline around us. I'm going to presume that that's an indication of territory that we own, but then there's a visibility area as well, a much larger one that encompasses Cathea and Curbis and Altair. That, again, is that just what we have visibility to, or is there something else I should know?
Yeah, so the colors are, the reason it's red on the outside is because our primary color of our flag is red.
Okay.
And inside, I guess, is green, but I don't remember what we picked as a secondary because we didn't really care. But it's the secondary color, I think, is what like the main body of our like empire color is, and the border is red because our primary color is red.
Okay, well, but
so
you can see in the upper left that both our primary and secondary are red.
Yeah, well, then maybe the game just picked some sort of, I guess, color in the middle. Yeah, it doesn't really like, it kind of picks neutral colors for the fill and like your kind of primary color for the border.
Okay.
So that's that. There is such a thing as sensor range. So because, to be honest, I'll be honest with you, I'm actually not sure what, I think it's because we own a planet in here. Or maybe it's one of like our science ship. But I think maybe it's even like because we settled this system, we claimed it and we settled it effectively. We have sensor range +1, which means we can actually tell the name, and kind of if you actually kind of E onto that system, you can see what kind of star it is and what kind of planets there are in there.
Yeah, Cathay is a Class B star.
Yeah, so that sort of sensor range, it means 1. So if any enemies or any entities that we don't even know about right now jumped into one of these systems, we would get a notification saying, oh, enemy fleet detected, or some fleet detected, and we would actually see them there. This can be upgraded with tech so that you can actually see further. You could also build stations on like the tip of your empire and then build such a thing as listening post, and it will sort of penetrate further such that you can get an early warning if enemy fleets if people are like amassing fleets. Same if you play multiplayer, you don't want to necessarily station your fleets right at the border, right? You want to put them like 2 or 3 systems in, and then when you declare war, it's kind of up to you. Like if you can bring them up to the border, but the person will get some warning, and it takes time for them to travel. It takes kind of a few months for ships to travel, then charge up their hyperdrive, and then jump from one system to another.
Yep.
Obviously, all of that gets faster with tech, etc. So sensor range will also extend. However, if you see to the southwest of us, there's a thing called Forbidden Nebula.
Yes.
Right. So that will be when we jump into that system, you will see each system can have certain like modifiers. Like for example, in a it's going to be a nebula. For example, modifiers such that they will slow our ships down, or shields will be 50% less effective, or weapons will certain types of weapons will be 50% or 20% less effective. Nebula is one of those examples where you can't penetrate it with sensor range. So even if the nebula starts at systems just south of Altair, we wouldn't be able to see inside it, I don't believe, or at least not without tech, until we actually you can only basically see things as you enter those systems.
Gotcha.
So kind of cool to own them. Also, those systems, and there's many different modifiers for systems, they allow for special star-based buildings. For example, for a nebula, you can build this nebula refinery, which just gives you like some minerals and some credits. Quite a nice building. So nebulas are of some value. It's nothing OP, but
it's going to be anything that's labeled as a nebula is going to be like that. Because there's one right across the center of the galaxy is one called Shining Pearl Nebula, and
there is a few of them if you look around. So there's one just north of us, Lost Dreams Nebula. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Shining Pearl. Yeah, it's like you need to actually get into the system to see how far it goes.
Okay.
You can't really tell, I don't think, from Fog of War, like which systems are exactly in the nebula and which are out.
Okay, and west of us we have first contact with Hey Menace.
Yeah, so this is so the way you meet new, and there is empires in the galaxy. There are these enclaves like the Shroud Walkers, but there's different types. There are all sorts of just creatures kind of roaming about space. We know nothing about them, right? So the first time we either hear like them on the sort of like communications radio type thing, or they actually jump into our systems, or we jump into their system. You can first of all set, and we'll talk about that later, set whether you are immediately hostile to them, neutral, or neutral kind of, right? So you can sometimes attack them. but also you will get this notification like first contact. So you can actually click on that, right? If you click on that, it says he Menace is a name we have assigned to them. But you can actually read it out if you want for a bit of flavor. Do you see this? If you click on that sort of...
I'm seeing Intel level low Urzgaba A, so I'm thinking I'm not looking at what you're referring to. Okay, never mind. Yeah, okay, I got it. Encounter in Urzgaba. Gotcha. Okay. We have made first contact with mysterious aliens in the Urzgaba system. For now, we have codenamed them Hey Menace. Until we find out more about them, if they possess a language, we should decipher it so we can assess how much of a threat they pose. And I've got one option, which is interesting.
Yeah, so you see, so it's actually, well, right now we're thinking it's a species, i.e. like it's another empire, and we must have heard their intercepted some, radio signals from them as they sent them to each other, right now, so you see, so it's kind of says stage 2, which I'm not really sure what it's necessarily stage 2, but I think that means basically we should start actually trying to decipher their language. So you see in that portrait with an exclamation mark, if you click on that,
assigning in a envoy.
Yeah, so you have sending an envoy, you see, to investigate these aliens will help us find out more about them and potentially establish diplomatic relations. We will be unable to reassign an envoy for 360 days. So envoys can do a bunch of things at the very start of the game. They can investigate contacts. They can be ambassadors later on to improve or harm relations or do things. They can run a spy network. They can also go to an intergalactic council and kind of increase our diplomatic weight, which when we vote on like galactic resolutions. So they can do a bunch of things. They don't really appear as characters in the game, other than at the very top, if you see in that ribbon, there are kind of a ship icon, which we have 3 out of 20. That's our fleet, and in terms of our fleet capacity. So our fleet capacity is 20 before we start paying like increased upkeep. Then to the left of that, we have 1 of 3 star bases that we have, and then it says 0 out of 2. So there is envoys there.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
well, this seems like a reasonably good use for an envoy at the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. Like, so they're just sitting right now doing nothing. We don't get anything if they're not doing anything, and they're not doing anything. They can kind of level up a little bit, but you'll see it's a bit quite different from actual proper leaders, which is a bit odd.
Yeah, other than their age, there don't appear to be any differences between the two that we have to choose from. So, okay, if we just assign Faust to Fadia here?
Yeah, it doesn't matter which one, really. So just go ahead. Yep, accept. There you go, you've assigned it. So now, you see it says breakthrough chance. There's a 0% chance that the current phase will end in success. The phase has, if you hover over it, you see, the phase has a 50% chance of granting insights, which increases the chance of future phases success, right? So the way it basically works, there is an 80-day cycle. Do you see this? 80?
I do. Yes, I do.
Yeah. And if if you hover over that, there's modifiers, and as this envoy, as we encounter more, as we decipher more species' languages, we will get better at it. There's also text we can do to decipher this better, because if we are the first to establish contact, we kind of get some buffs, sort of some useful things. So it's nice. Again, it's not like maybe a major focus, but it is nice to establish contact and be the first one to do so. But the difficulty here is 6. I think that's pretty standard. Although, again, you will see, depending on the type of empire, for example, there are empires who are isolationist and they don't want to be touched, right? They will have an even harder difficulty because they don't want to be contacted. It can come from an origin, it can come from a stance, so we could change ourselves to kind of be isolationists right now. And there's various reasons, but you'll see as we kind of discover more, I can kind of talk about why that's good or bad or that not. But basically difficulty is 6, it's an 80-day cycle, we don't get any buffs. So every 80 days it will cycle, we'll have a 50% chance of gaining some insights, which will give us a small probability to actually advance to a stage 3, right? And then it will be stage 4, stage 5. It's kind of a little storyline will develop as to how exactly we establish contact. It's always a little bit different, and you will see it has an impact. Or it will just 80 days will pass, and we won't get like a breakthrough, what's called. So we won't go to stage 3. Instead, we'll just gain more insights.
So basically, if we are successful in gaining insight from this first 80-day phase, that 0% will go up by some amount for the next 80-day phase, but any sense of how much it's going to go up?
I actually don't know, to be honest.
Okay. I mean, are we talking like 5% or 10% or 50% or?
I actually don't. I never pay attention. You kind of like click on it. There's nothing you can really do to affect it.
Yeah, no, I'm
So I
just
kinda
mildly curious.
Click away. Yeah, let's have a look when it
Yeah.
ticks over. I mean, 80 days. Yeah, we're gonna have a look.
Okay.
So basically, then you just close this window. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, we kind of know now there's an empire to our west, which would tell us to explore Altair, because that's the first choke point. But then maybe go up north and explore the next choke point, because you do have to rush and block off a constellation or two to make sure that you kind of have broader access to the kind of the universe, right? So you don't get boxed in, and also you defend better, because it could be a very aggressive empire, could be a very friendly empire, right? We don't know. Could be something neutral.
Well, with a name like Hey Menace, I'm gonna assume they're hostile.
No. So names get assigned randomly.
I figured, yeah.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is that the reason we call them menace is because we're xenophobe.
Oh,
so
okay, gotcha.
So there is a lot of flavor, right? And it kind of it all reflects the type of empire you put together. So if we were xenophile, I don't know, I don't remember what exactly it would call them, but it would call them it can use Xeno, contact. It's kind of and he can be different. It's kind of delta, gamma, alpha. It depends on our sort of names, I think.
Okay.
So these are he menace is because we're xenophobe. We kind of refer to everyone who we heard about as at least a menace. They could be worse. They could be better. So with that said, maybe we kind of talk about exploration, and just before we unpause, just set. So you see, we have this science ship it's like the middle ship. But next to our system, there's 3 green icons, and the middle of one is a space science ship.
Okay, I see it.
So it's called Acoreus, is the name of the science ship, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To the bottom left, and it has Publia Sulpicia is kind of the scientist running it. Now you see, on her it also says head of research. So she's also our head of research. We'll talk about that when we unpause, because it's not really critical at the moment, and there's nothing we can change it. But she's basically on our Empire's council. She's head of research, but she's also commanding this particular science ship. As you can see, she's level 1, right? She's scientist, and scientist per level, if you hover over that 1, basically survey speed is increased by 10%, archaeology skill is 1, and astral rift skill is 1. So those are things you can investigate if we find them. But survey speed is basically how quickly does she survey a system. And if you see all systems that we can even kind of see, they're grayed out in their name, which is because we haven't surveyed them. So first we're going to send the science ship and survey them. Then we're going to claim that system, and then we can build in it. Okay.
And we know that it's safe to send the science ship, because if there were any hostile vessels there, we would already know it because of our ability to survey +1. Okay.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although I think definitely Empire ships, I think you would be able to see, but there are some other creatures that you cannot see necessarily.
Okay.
But dangerous things can happen. They can sort of die. You'll see what can happen. There's a range of things. And one other thing to note is on her portrait, there's a little icon, which is one of her kind of character, or kind of, what are they, traits? Yeah, leader traits. You see it says meticulous.
Meticulous, yes.
Yeah, this leader is thorough in the examination. So she has anomaly discovery chance plus 10%. So whenever she surveys a system, every time, and surveying means she will fly between each planet and just take a sample of whatever the biosphere and whatnot, and just kind of establish, are there any resources on it? Does anyone live on there? There's all sorts of things she can find.
Okay.
But I would suggest, you take that science ship, kind of right click on Altair and click survey system.
Okay, I am clicking on Altair. It says move here or survey system, so I want to do survey system.
Yeah, you can also hold shift and then click on the system kind of to the north of it, the one that, not Kibus, but the one after it. Actually, it's fine. Let's for now just let her survey Altair.
The unknown class M star?
Yeah. You could kind of shift click that and do survey as well, because that's probably where we want to go, because we want to make sure we know where that empire that we are trying to make contact with, where is a good place to kind of establish a little choke point. Okay.
And you can see what I just did, right?
Yeah, if I click on the ship, it's pretty cool. I can see it. So that's kind of that would be the starting exploration. There's a lot more to it, but to start us off, I think that's pretty much enough.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that I don't think there's really much for us to do, I've explained the economy at the top, right? So energy,
Yes.
minerals, and food. It's mostly upkeep. There's not much for us to do right now. The way to get to the resources is either build buildings on our planets, or districts rather, they're called, or buildings, or to build stations around resources in the space. And at the start, like buildings and planets, to be honest, will be most of your economy. Like systems is kind of nice. Sometimes you get a really rich system, like systems can have like 10 minerals in it, or etc. But generally, it's the planets that really form, like, I would say at least 60%, even late game, if not like 80% of your economy and power.
All right.
So there's nothing to do there. One thing we do need to talk about and just do before we unpause. You see at the top, it says there's like 3 icons for research, like kind of 3 like magnifying glasses. Right.
When you say at the top, there's a lot up there at the top. So,
to
the physics,
to the right of the ribbon.
Physics Research Society research and engineering research. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also on the left-hand side, you see there is a ribbon, and it starts with like beneath our kind of empire flag, and it says situation log, government, society, and then it says technology.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's click on technology, and have a look at that.
Okay.
So technology is, you see, again, our head of research, you can kind of see the head of research here. Not much kind of to her right now. But broadly speaking, you see there are 3 sets of technologies: physics, society, and engineering. Each one progresses at a separate rate. The rate that we get is based on the researcher jobs on our planet. And we can, if we click on our planet just for a second, the empire capital, right? Yeah, so you see we don't have any research labs, but if you hover over the city districts, right? You can see from district specializations, we get physicist jobs, biologist jobs, and engineer jobs plus 60.
Okay.
So we have 60 of those. The reason for that is because we have archives is one of our city specializations.
Okay.
Right? If you hover over that little thing, it'll actually tell you. And if we build another like city district, it will then kind of expand everything a little bit, like we talked in the previous episode. So you can either build a research lab and like a focused building for research, and we'll probably do that as an opener, but we need to save up minerals. Or you can just build up our city districts, and this is generally a bit of everything. Right, so we kind of go over that, but that's where we get our jobs from for now. That's what's kind of important.
Okay.
So going back to our research screen, and that will determine how fast we progress, and you can kind of push into one area or another, and you need to kind of play the game to understand which areas gives you which tech.
So if we wanted to fast track physics, let's say, we would select a physics research and then leave society and engineering blank for the time being?
No. So you always have something running in each one. You
always have all 3 going. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, you could get more jobs or certain buildings that skew you towards engineering research or physics research.
Okay.
And again, we'll see that. But for now, for starters, it's probably best to just kind of be an all-rounder because there are useful techs in all trees. But let's go ahead and click on physics research, right?
Okay. So
you see the way...
Yeah, we have improved deflectors, fusion power, and quantum computing.
Yeah, so the way research works in Stellaris is you get 3 options. Those options are random. As you go deeper into the tech tree, there is like more options, so they're kind of a bit more random. You can get technologies that increase your research options. Some empires have fewer research options, but that's kind of what you get. So you can't always just click on exactly what you want. That's why every playthrough, it will be a little bit different.
Okay.
At the start, there aren't that many choices. You're kind of pretty quick. Well, I mean, it takes a long time to research a tech, which is the only time that they will be re-rolled, right? So right now, we're going to have to pick one. We then finish that research, and then we get 3 new to choose from. I think it's possible to get the same one. I'm not sure how RNG works exactly. But broadly, or maybe they cycle through completely 3 different ones.
So you're saying if we research, let's say, improved deflectors first, when we finish it, it's going to roll 3 completely new ones, or is it going to still give us fusion power and quantum computing plus a randomized 3rd one?
Completely new one. 3 new ones entirely. Yeah.
Okay.
So you kind of like sometimes it's like the choice is obvious. Sometimes there's a trade-off. So here, broadly speaking, like improved deflectors is basically better shields for our ships and star bases. So kind of it's effectively for war or for defense. I will talk about like different types of HP ships have, but basically better shields. I'd say that's not a good one because we're not about to fight anyone. It might be better later. You can even do without this one because you can rely on other protection for your ships. Fusion power is again like a ship module, which gives you more power, which allows you to equip things like improved shields because they consume more power on your ships, or better weapons. Since we don't have any of those techs, we don't really need those.
It does also say that this technology will lead to further advancements in several different fields.
Yes, so that's another thing. So important, you see that little thing you noticed, which is exactly correct. This tech would, for example, lead to, so right now we only have access to corvettes, which are like very small ships. It would also, for example, lead to destroyers, and it would also lead to other tier 2 techs, whereas some techs are kind of like it's just them. Although improved deflectors, you need those before you get to like advanced deflectors or advanced shields or whatever. So they all kind of lead to better things, but fusion power is one of these techs that unlock like more physics options.
Okay.
It's kind of like it will become clearer, I guess, as we play. But the last one, quantum computing, I'd say this one is a good one because what this does is just they've changed it. That's interesting. So what this one does, you see, it says unlocks building, field dynamics center. And if you hover over that one, you can see you can only build one of these per planet. So planet limit is 1. So it's kind of like a special building. And what it does is you can see it only gives you physics researchers, right?
Yeah.
It says physicist jobs plus 200, and any physicist that does produce something, he produces plus 1 physics, right? Okay. So any of those physicists that were given to us by the district will also produce more physics, right? And then the physicists turn consumer goods into physics research. They require consumer goods to be upkept. And it says approximate jobs production without taking account like lots of bonuses that we have will be about 14 physics for 3 consumer goods.
Okay.
So interesting choice, to be honest, for us. And you can, if you hover over, you can see how long it will take to research each one. I definitely wouldn't go for shields. Fusion power is not a bad one.
Yeah. So the 3,900 cost translates to, at our current pace, 259 months.
Yeah,
so
which
more
is
than
a very
10
long
years.
time. Yeah. So I would click on that one, to be honest. Yeah, let's go with quantum computing.
Okay.
It's kind of a good all-rounder. Then we click on society. And here, you see, we have 3 options, just like in physics. This is, again, a random roll. And here we have doctrine, space combat.
We have 4 choices.
Yeah, so 4. So, okay, let's go with that. So 3
we
is
have
kind
three,
of...
3 in green and 1 in purple.
1 in purple. So purple means it's a rare tech, which normally means they are very unlikely to pop up, like much less likely.
It's going to take absolutely forever to research that one.
Yeah. So first of all, these these exist across like physics and that, and by the end of the game you probably will pop all rare techs at least once.
Okay.
But it's nice to get some of them to pop up earlier. You're kind of lucky, and you probably want to research that because it's going to give you some nice buff. However, another thing about psionic theory, see, it's kind of flashing, or kind of like, it's kind of has this blue ribbon over it, right? And that's because it's a guaranteed one. So that's because of our origin. Remember, it's actually said there, psionic theory is a guaranteed research option.
Yeah, it says this technology will remain as a valid option until it is researched.
Yeah, and for various reasons throughout the game, throughout the quests, or through meeting empires or whatever, you can sometimes also get guaranteed, and this one will always be there. So every time we pick a tech, research it to the end, we get a reroll of 3 new techs plus this one. And there can be like 5 of them for various reasons, but there has to be like a situational reason as to why it's guaranteed to us. And there is different reasons for why that be the case.
Okay.
All right. So psionic theory, it takes 1,000 months, probably not a good to open up with it, but we'll always have it as well, so there's no rush to get it, right? But our other choices here are, so doctrine, space combat. You got fleet command plus 20, so we can have like 40 worth of ships in one fleet. Right now we can have 40 ships, but they'd have to be split among 2 admirals. So it kind of gives that. It unlocks an edict. We'll talk about edicts a bit later. kind of nice to have, but we're not necessarily like prepping for war right now, so I'd leave that one out. Off-world trade companies, that gives us off-world trading company, produces trade, and it's a star-based building. Again, we'll talk about those in a bit. It's all right. I wouldn't say it's terribly useful. Ground defense planning, naval capacity from soldier jobs +2, and defense army damage +33. Not to say that we're preparing for defense, but I would probably, of these, pick ground defense planning, because we do already have, or do we actually? Let me just check if with this origin, if that's the case. No, it's actually not. We don't have any stronghold on our planet, so we actually don't have any soldier jobs on our planet. Well, up to you. We can either go off-world trading companies. I'd say because you're a xenophobe. To be honest, we could go with either three. Which one do you fancy?
I lean between those two, between off-world trade companies and ground defense planning. I lean towards ground defense planning for the simple reason that it's faster.
So yeah, that's another reason you could pick. Yeah, doctrine space combat is actually not a bad one because we're xenophobe. We kind of are preparing for war, and that's actually 173 months.
That one's the fastest of all.
Yeah, maybe we get that. I'd say none of these are like great choices to open up with.
Okay,
but I'd go with that. Let's go with click on that. Perfect. So you see it now. Okay, well let's go with over engineering. So again, click on engineering, select research. Same thing. We get 3 random roles. We have nanomechanics, which is basically the same as quantum computing in a sense that it's that same type of tech that will give us materials workshop, which is a science building skewed towards engineering.
Yeah.
That's actually a good one. Like engineering has a lot of research. Again, I won't go over it now, but you kind of get a sense as to which research actually gives you what. And I would say engineering broadly is what gives you like bigger ships, new modules for ships, faster building stuff. Society gives you things like colonizing other planets, managing your population, things like that. Physics gives you things like computers, chips for combat ships, like AI, kind of those type of things.
So all right, so let's go nanomechanics.
Actually, wait, to be honest, we are psionic, so we actually should go physics, because physics is things that goes with psionic, because we don't really want like robots.
I see, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of...
So in other words, we're going to lean more into physics, and we don't want the materials workshop because that is going to give us a little bit more of an emphasis then on engineering,
yeah,
which is less useful to us.
Although, I mean, it still gives us better ships. It's a good one. But basically, well, okay, let's go. The other thing we have is improved corvette hulls. So that's if we had any corvettes, their hull points would be increased by 10%. But we don't have any corvettes, so I wouldn't rush. Like, I'd rather, you got to build up a fleet first and then do these percentage buffs.
So,
right?
like, in a vacuum, if we're only looking at the improved corvette hulls versus standardized corvette patterns, the way that I would normally, just in a strategy game sense, the way that I would normally do this is I would do standardized corvette patterns first, because that's going to improve our building capacity, make them faster and cheaper, and then we can improve the hulls later on.
Yeah, so I would let's go with standardized corvette patterns. The drawback there is that corvettes, you can actually use corvettes until the very end of the game. Typically, people kind of go up to destroyers. So I would pick either nanomechanics or standardized corvette patterns.
Okay, well, you already kind of said thematically we may want to lean a little bit more into physics than into engineering. So why don't we go standardized corvette patterns?
Yeah.
I get it. Functionally, nanomechanics is going to have its use, but I like the idea of just sort of making a flavorful decision here of standardized corvette patterns.
Yeah, and generally, like, the number of buildings you can build is limited. And so, I mean, you can build a field dynamics center that skews research towards physics. You could also build a materials workshop, but then you take up 2 slots. I think most of the time, at least at the start, you kind of only build one of those per planet to kind of skew yourself one way, not like multiple ways. Okay, so that's our research. So it will now progress like every month. You can hover over it, and you can kind of see plus 15 progress per month, right? Why? Because we get 14.8 from our jobs, and head of research gives us plus 2% from level 1. He's kind of level 1 character, right?
Okay.
So we kind of close that in. Actually, in the top ribbon, you can kind of see in the middle of that ribbon of all the resources we have, you can see there is research there. It says 47.
14, 14, 17.
Yeah, so if you kind of click on that, you can kind of see the split.
So why is engineering higher?
Yeah. So if you hover over it, it will give you a breakdown. So base is 10, and then jobs gives you 4.8, which is same for all, because right now we're kind of all of our jobs produce same amount of research.
What am I hovering over?
17, the 17 number.
I'm trying to. It doesn't give me anything.
Really? You should. Hover over to the right of it.
Yeah, no.
So 47. If
okay,
you click on
if
47,
if I hover over the 47, it pulls up a much bigger bubble here.
Sorry, click on 47.
Oh, click on 40. Now that works.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And now hover over that.
Yeah, I got it. I got it.
Yeah.
All right, so we're getting something additional for stations.
Yeah, for stations is 3. So if you click on our system, kind of like zoom into it, you can see Nova Aegyptus, little moon.
Nova Aegyptus.
Is sort of in our system.
I'm trying to figure out the right zoom level. Oh, it's down there. I see it. Okay, I got it.
Yeah. So you see it has 3 gears, which gears being engineering research, and it's in green. So it means we have and you can even see like a little.
Yeah, we have a research station there.
Research station. So we get that 3.
Gotcha.
So just like a job worked by our pop, this one it does cost us, I think, 1 gold, one energy to upkeep this.
It says upkeep 1.
Yeah, so we kind of trade 1 energy for 3 engineering research.
Okay.
Yep, and you can see Tritonus, for example, it also has gears 2.
Yeah, that would give us more engineering research.
But we have to build a station over it. All of these stations in space cost 100 minerals. But if we built it over that, we'd get +2 engineering research.
Now I noticed that we do have a constructor ship. We
do have a construction ship, and we have 200 minerals. So we could go ahead and start building these stations. However, I would say that 2 research isn't really worth it. What is worth it is saving for 400 for a building, because buildings, and we'll explain, I guess, why just when we get onto it. I just want to kind of unpause. But I would save up 400 for a building, basically, to start with.
Okay.
If we had something that gave us like 5 of something, of like either minerals or even of research, you can get like a really nice moon. It'd probably be worthwhile, because you're spending 100 minerals, but you're getting 5 of something from the start. But for like 2s, I wouldn't say it's worth it.
Okay.
Okay.
Now we do have Brigantium here, which has 5 minerals, but we are already collecting from it because we have a mining station there. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So that's that. I think we can go ahead and unpause. So if you top right or space bar, you can just go ahead and unpause and speed 1.
Okay, I hit the space bar and that didn't do anything, so I'm just going to click on the play button.
Maybe it's both of us that need to do it. Okay, hang on. So we can pause, and there we are. You can read that out.
You see this contact report, enigmatic spacefarers?
Yep.
Okay, so news of alien ships humming through the ether has reached Savasia, in many ways ending the first chapter of the Savantian Order's bid for a stellar empire. So we could say we are one with the cosmos. This research option gained automated colony ships, or we can fortify our defenses against the unknown, which gives us an improvement here to ground defense planning.
Yeah, so the interesting thing is that I actually get a different text, even though we're playing co-op. To me, it says, Savasia is in an uproar following the news of unidentified ships sighted in the void. Their intentions unknown. It would be prudent to assume the worst. Quite interesting things. So you will get these. These are all themed and flavored, both the flavor text around the type of empire. So because we're xenophobe, we're like, you get these news reports that we're probably assuming something bad, And then you see these options, so that's obviously depends on what kind of ethics we have, right?
But even though you got different flavor text, do you have the same options?
Yeah, the options are the same. Yeah. So if we get, you see, it says research option gained automated colony ships. So that will show up in society research, just like psionic theory. It will then be a guaranteed. It will be an option because we made 10% progress to it. It will effectively be like a guaranteed option. So we'll get 3 new society texts later. Plus this one will always just kind of hover there, and we can click on it, and it will already be 10% researched because of this event, but we'll always have it as an option. Now, the thing is, we're playing with rare habitable worlds and no guaranteed habitable worlds. So it's possible we will never do a colony. So I would say the value of these is fairly low, because colony development speed, it kind of matters more when you have lots of habitable planets.
Okay.
So from a mechanical perspective, that's not a very useful one, but we can also play, just immersively, thematically, if you want to be
Well, I certainly think thematically we could very well justify the second option.
Yeah, 45-hour defenses.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree. Like, because as xenophobe, so you see ground defense planning. I already forgot, to be honest, what we picked. Yeah, it's not the option we picked, but remember, it was one of the 3 options. Mm-hmm. It was the one that we didn't pick. Oh, that's interesting. So you selected an option, and now it tells me that I need to also click it. That's really cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So I kind of see that you picked it. But yeah, let's go with that. That will basically give us 15% progress to that. Although what's very interesting, this event has already been selected. Selecting this option will not trigger its effect again. Oh, that's interesting. So you actually have selected it for both of us. Okay, well, basically I will click on it. Yeah. So now you'll see when society research finishes, basically that tech ground defense planning will have 15% progress. All right. And again, this changes every time depending on your empire and who you encounter and when and whatnot.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and unpause again, right?
Okay. I am... Oh, it looks like you unpausing it works for both of us. Whereas let me see if I unpause it. Let me see if it unpauses for you.
Yeah, do it.
Did that unpause for you?
No, that's paused.
Okay, it looks like you have master control over the.
Okay.
Over
Try
the speed.
pausing it now.
I tried pausing it.
Oh, really? So you can't pause it?
Apparently not.
You can't pause it?
I cannot. Now it's paused.
Okay.
That's okay.
Maybe we should have done that. You had the master.
No, it's fine. Yeah. We're going to be talking, communicating about everything anyway.
Yeah. But in case you see that our science ship now went. You see, and Altair.
Has it reached?
Yeah, you see, it just jumped over.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see. I had to zoom back out to the galaxy map.
Okay. Yeah, so it kind of travels to the edge of the system, then charges up its hyperdrive, which you can upgrade those to do that faster. But
is there some type of a status that we know how far into the surveying it is?
If you select it, it will say surveying Altair 6A. You see, if you select the ship on this galaxy view, you'll see in bottom left is
surveying Altair. Yep. Okay.
6A, and there's plus.
Yeah, it's going up right now. Okay, I can see it.
Yeah, and it's got 20 orders. So some systems have very few things inside it. But if you click on Altair, you can actually see everything. If you kind of zoom into it, you can even follow our ship.
I'm watching it moving around inside the system right now.
Yeah, so you can kind of but once you play Stellaris for a bit, no one really, I think, sits and watches. Although the game is actually quite beautiful, for what it is. These systems, they look pretty cool. Fleet battles look pretty cool, and you'll zoom in on those. Other than that, though, you spend most of your time in the galaxy. But you see, basically, it's going to go around in the most effective, efficient way that it thinks, and survey each one, and only then can we can actually go in and survey.
Can
get
you pause?
It. So, yep. So let's pause.
Okay.
Let's see what popped up.
Yeah, I was just going to mention, by the way, I used to do that with Sins of a Solar Empire. I would zoom in and just watch the space battles because it was so gorgeous. So anyway, so we have traditions available now. We have enough unity to adopt a new tradition.
Indeed. So first, let's talk about unity. So you see where it has food in top left, right? You see there is a 311 unity plus 34.
Yes.
Right? So if you hover over that gives you unity is a bit like technology, or a bit if you ever played Civ, what one was it? Civ 6, right? Because no one really plays Civ 7, right? Let's not even talk about that. But Civ 6 at least.
I don't own Civ 7. It's possibly the first Civ game that I never bothered to buy.
Same. It just doesn't. Yeah, don't bother. I didn't even buy it. But basically, there is culture tech, and there is tech, and then there is culture, right? So here we have technology that we just talked about, but you also have unity, and it says here, unity reflects a society's collective resolve and ideological strength. It embodies the shared purpose that binds the people together, guiding their institutions and governance.
So this is like nationalism.
It's like a resource, basically. You get it from jobs and a few other places, and once you collect enough, you can unlock a tradition which kind of defines you as an empire. So right now we've collected enough for the first thing. So if you click on those two masks, right? Click on those, and you get this screen where traditions, right? So you see,
I see
and you can see
7 empty slots here.
Exactly, 7. So 7 is all you're gonna get. You can't get any more. Although I'm thinking maybe you can get an 8th, but I think 7 is basically predominantly you'll be dealing with 7. You can see there's like a select button on each one. We'll talk about that later. So you got to select a tree first, then you progress through that tree. Once you complete that tree, you get an ascension perk. You see on the right, there is like...
I do?
You can get, 8 ascension perks. Yeah, that's why. You get 7 tradition trees, but with when you complete all of those, you get 2 ascension perks at the very end.
Okay.
But normally, you complete 1 tree, you get an ascension perk. Ascension perk is another, like, defining characteristic of your empire.
Okay.
But again, we'll get to it. So right now, we need to just pick on, click select on any of those. They're all the same. So all the 7 slots are exactly the same.
Yep.
And if you click on select, you'll see there's traditions, right? Each tradition, you can adopt it. That's one choice you make. And then inside it, they all have 5 like additional choices that you go through. Like you don't have to complete them, but typically you should, because it's going to give you an ascension perk at the end, right?
Okay.
And you can see there is adaptability, aptitude, archivism, right? Diplomacy. So it kind of defines your little empire. Going all the way down, well, at the very end we have psionics, right? So that one is an ascension sort of like tradition. We're locked into it. Other empires, if anyone follows the tutorial and they created their own empire, you'll have like cybernetics there, you will have biologics there, and typically you have access to all 3, as well as psionics. Whereas we only have psionics as an ascension path.
Okay, we psionics and politics appear to be unselectable, and also domestication.
Yeah, so if you hover over that adopt button at the bottom of psionics, it will say...
as well, okay.
Yeah, so at the bottom of psionics, let's say, it will say has psionic theory technology.
Yeah, okay, so in other words, it's dimmed out because we either automatically have it or we just flat out can't select it.
Yeah, we can't select it. Whereas if you hover over politics, so it's either we don't have the tech, or if you hover over politics, it says the galactic community has been formed is a condition. Okay. Galactic community hasn't been formed. That will be kind of much later event when empires have discovered each other, certain things have happened, and they've decided that, okay, we sort of establish the UN. Galactic community is basically the United Nations, right?
Okay.
So our choices are kind of among the rest of these. I would say, just to kind of, again, obviously everyone is free to look up these up. I would say the meta has changed over time, but I'd say broadly the ones that we should like talk about now, I'll just kind of condense it to the ones that are actually viable.
Okay.
In theory, all of them are somewhat viable, but I would say discovery is one people often pick as the first one. So you see top right.
Top
kinda.
right.
Yeah. So that one is about like science and exploration. So if you want to speed up exploration, get a bit more science, get a bit more other things, we can do that. I would say expansion is also something people pick. That one focuses on like settling as many planets as quickly as possible. Because we are playing with rare habitable worlds and no guaranteed habitable worlds, I think that its value is diminished. But it's generally also about like grabbing a lot of systems. But it's technically viable. Prosperity, if you see that one with like a little diamond.
I do. That's
like kind of building up your economy. I think that's a good one, although we don't have that many planets, and mostly your like planet economy. A mercantile is a decent one. If you see that one, it's like a green one. That's about like trade, but we can talk about trade separately. Trade isn't exactly like, there is like, you can trade with other empires when you find them, but there's also just like general commerce within your empire that you don't really see, but that's generated, which you then can exchange for other benefits. And this one basically lets you kind of lean into that.
Okay.
There's also supremacy at the very bottom. That's like kind of building up a fleet very quickly to defend yourself. It's a decent one. Unyielding next to it is a good one to like build up defensive star bases and kind of turtle up.
Okay.
So among these, not to like take up too much time, I would say for us right now, could go with discovery. Could go with prosperity, I feel like.
I was going to say, if normally in a game like this, my instincts are to lean into something like prosperity to try to, build up your infrastructure, make sure that you're going to be able to afford what you need down the road. However, obviously, discovery does seem like a pretty important one early in a game like this as well.
Yeah, so I would suggest we pick discovery, and then I'll tell you why, because we're going to go like kind of a little bit into that tree, and then but we won't complete it necessarily, which is also okay, and I'll explain why. And then we can then dip with the next unity we have, we can dip into prosperity as well.
Okay.
And again, I'll explain why.
All right.
So let's say you hover over discovery and just have a look what it actually gives you, right? So you see,
so we'll be able to choose from either to boldly go or science division right away.
Even before that, if you just hover over discovery, it will say adoption effect. So just by adopting it,
that's already. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Adopting it is already like a choice. Plus, so you kind of have to click it basically 6 times, right? You adopt it, and then you go 5 steps inside.
Okay.
To complete it. So you see adoption effects. It says unlocks agenda, chart the unknown. We'll talk about what agendas are, but they're basically like what's your government's current agenda. It unlocks an edict, map the stars. We'll talk about what edicts are in a second, probably, especially if we pick this one. Then it gives us anomaly research speed increased by 20%. We haven't encountered any anomalies, but when we do, it will make sense. But that's basically something a scientist can do other than surveying a system. He might find an anomaly, and we need to research it for different benefits. And then it says kind of finisher effect will be adopting all discovery tradition will grant us research speed plus 10%. So any job that produces 1 research will produce 1.1, right?
Okay.
It will also grant us access to the research cooperative federation type. Again, we'll talk about federations much later. And it will give us 1 ascension perk, unlock 1. So I would suggest we adopt this because...
Council agenda available.
Do you get the psionics voice, or do you get your just normal voice?
I can't distinguish between the two yet. Okay. It sounded like a normal voice to me.
Okay, so maybe that's a shame. Well, you'll see in my video that like what psionics voice sounds. But yeah, but basically I'll say we pick that. Again, I don't want to kind of...
When I picked it, because I already picked it, did that pick it for you as well, or do you have to confirm?
Yeah. No, it actually picked it for me.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So
that was a bit of a test.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So let's talk about edict. The only thing that's relevant right now from the adoption, like what did we actually get for that? It's unlocked an edict, map the stars for us. So let's close out of that, and let's go on the left ribbon. Do you see government? Is like the second thing.
I do.
Yeah, so let's click on government. We're going to skip council for now, and we're going to go to, at the bottom, you see there's like a ribbon. It says policies and edicts.
Yep, okay.
Right, and on the left-hand side, there are policies, which we'll also ignore for the moment. But on the right, you see there are edicts, right? So what is an edict? You see it says 0 out of 20, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of, it's related to unity, right? So edicts are basically like, executive orders by your government to like focus on a specific thing, like I guess a president's executive order in US, something like that, right? And what it says, this edict fund, like you saw that kind of referenced in different places. If we hover over ours, we have 20 edict fund. What that means is that we can issue edicts up to 20 value for free. If we issue edicts for, let's say, 25 out of 20, and we can't do that, but except the 5 that we flow over the 20 will have to be sort of financed from our unity, right? So it will start costing us unity.
Okay.
But right now, we can use up to 20, sort of this free unity, which doesn't go into our pile for traditions, right? But it's only there for edicts. So right now, we're kind of just wasting that potential, right?
Okay, all right.
Now, and you can see the edicts we have fortify the border, right? And it says kind of 6 is the cost to adopt it will be 6 unity, and we currently have 11 left after we pick that tradition, and it will cost 6 to maintain.
And we're getting 34.
So it was 6 to maintain, but we have 20 for free maintenance, and if we go over that, it will actually cost us more.
Oh, I see.
And these numbers will scale depending on the size of our empire, so you'll see these kind of ticking up.
Okay.
But for example, if you hover, so we have fortify the border, that will, again, starbase upgrade speed will increase by 50%. We'll talk about it later. Starbase capacity will build, we can basically afford 2 more starbases. Then there is Veneration of Saints. Again, that will increase resources produced from priests by 20% and increase spiritualist ethics attraction. We can actually go ahead and click that now because we want our populace to be full of spiritualists, I guess. And priests produce unity. So you will see now we have plus 34 unity, right? But it will increase once the month passes. Like all recalculations in Stellaris are kind of done at month's end. You'll see that will probably increase. And then map of the stars, right? So that's the one we just unlocked because of that tradition. You can see that says survey speed plus 25%. So our science ship will now survey systems faster, right? And then we have anomaly discovery chance plus 10%. So whenever they finish surveying any like asteroid or planet, they might discover an anomaly. This chance is increased by 10%, right? And ship hyperlane detection range plus 1. So we'll now detect things from further out.
Now,
so I would suggest we go.
What I don't understand is why did we, by Veneration of Saints, we just used up 5 of our 20 free free points here, and I don't see where the 5 came from.
So if you hover over, you see there's 2 columns, like a 6 and another 6.
So it's the upkeep of 5.12.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So one of them is upkeep. It's kind of not very clear, but yeah, one of them is to adopt. So if you see, we had 11 unity as like stock.
Yeah.
And now we have 6 because you spend 6 just to adopt it. It's not really a major, to be honest, thing. Like you never care about the adoption cost because you can just wait. Like it's never huge.
Yeah.
But it is. Yeah. You can if you kind of click and unclick this, you kind of waste that unity, right? So it kind of discourages you from constantly issuing and retracting edicts.
I see. Okay. So, but if we wanted to go ahead and select map the stars as well, we have enough to go ahead and adopt it right now, and we would still be within our 20 free.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that?
So I'll go ahead and click that. Yeah.
Okay.
But interestingly, if you hover over the upkeep, you see because we are fanatic spiritualist, remember, right? We get reduced edict upkeep minus 20%.
Yeah.
And because our empire size is very small right now, we also get a bit of a discount.
Yeah.
And if you hover over the 20, you can see the base you have for edicts is 10, and our ruler gives us plus another 10. And that's from his level 1, I believe.
Yeah, probably.
So it kind of, you see, when we pick that spiritualist ethic, one of the ways it kind of manifests itself, one of the many different ways, is that we kind of like, first of all, it gives us the ability to issue a Veneration of Saints edict, right? It's like a special edict that only spiritualist has, but it also lets us upkeep these for less, i.e. like, you know, we're good at issuing edicts. So if you're an imperial government, you're also better at issuing edicts. And it's kind of one ways you can make yourself stronger because you will, you might get a bit less tech, but you could play around edicts, very powerful edicts.
Yeah, makes sense.
So let's go ahead and close that. So that's basically what we got. So let's go ahead and just unpause. I just want to keep the time kind of ticking.
Sure.
But basically what happened was we got unity, we unlocked a tradition that gave us certain benefits. One of those benefits was an edict. We issued that, and now our science ships survey things faster, which is good at the start of the game because we can kind of see who's where, which systems are good to grab, which systems are not good to grab.
And that's exactly what I was thinking as well. We are coming up on an hour here.
Anomaly found.
Oh, they found an anomaly.
Yeah.
Did you get that message?
Yeah, I did get that message.
So on Aquarius.
Yep. So we can. I don't know if you have time to go over it, or because I didn't time it. Sorry, so I don't know how close we are to the hour.
We're right at an hour, but if it's just a couple of minutes, you can go ahead and explain it, or we can start the next. Because what I'm thinking, I mean, having wrapped up edicts, that might be a logical place to.
Yeah, it's probably because there's going to be more. Yeah, so we can start next explanation with anomalies and what they are roughly and what they do.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
So very, very useful like information dumps here in these first 2 episodes, at least for me.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I hope people find it useful. But yeah, maybe I'm talking a lot. I mean, there's like a lot more to each mechanic, so I don't want to kind of just unload.
Yeah, there's always
a separate video.
Yeah, there's always that fine line of what's the right balance of useful information, but not going into every single shred of nuance that is available. We'll figure a lot of the nuance out as we move forward throughout the game, I think.
One thing I would just quickly note, because that's 2 seconds, because we issued that edict, remember it said ship detection range increased, right? Mm-hmm. And you see now, even though our science ship is still in Altair, we can actually see the hyperlane lines much further out.
Yeah, we sure can.
Yeah, which is very useful. So we now know that that system above us is a choke point to go left or right. So we would really want to grab it, especially if we know there is that unknown empire. We don't know which systems are grabbed, right? But it would be nice to grab that so that we then have the option of either going to Lost Dreams Nebula, and maybe the empire we discover will be hostile, but there will be an ally potential there. And if we hold that choke point, our ally can actually come to us and help us. Whereas if we kind of dilly-dally right now and we don't get that choke point, he will just lock us out of that.
Yeah.
So we kind of probably want to gun for that and just kind of get our construction ship and claim that, and then fortify that. And then again, if we build a starbase there, we get a listening post. We'd be able to listen on like both constellations as well.
Okay.
So those are kind of like the benefits that you get. So it's for that discovery tradition and therefore that edict.
Yeah. So that's going to be high priority moving forward then.
Yeah, that's probably kind of the short-term plan. Yeah, we still don't have any resources, but yeah, we'll go over buildings next time as well, once we have enough resources.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Thank you for your patience in explaining all of this to me. It has been extremely useful.
No, but I'm pursuing a selfish aim of getting you into Stellaris, and getting more people into Stellaris. I'm telling you, I'm a little bit scared because I think you could just quit your job and never speak to your relatives. I think there is potential for that.
I can see it. I can see it.
That's it. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to have to wrap it up there.
Everyone else enjoyed it. Yeah. You guys let us know in the comments if you have any questions on anything I said. But otherwise, let's call it here.
All right.
Thanks everyone for joining.
Yeah. Thanks everybody. See you all in the next episode.
Cheers, guys.